The girl witnessed her parents tragically killed by drug lords, but not a single tear fell from her eyes. She couldn't show weakness in front of her enemies. The drug lord sat across from the girl, but the girl showed no fear. Her small hand was ready to strike beneath the table. The girl quickly ran into the bathroom, using her small frame to leap out the window. The killer followed closely behind, carrying a submachine gun to investigate. A cement slab conveniently blocked his view. The girl hurriedly swallowed the SIM card. It was her only bargaining chip for survival. She jumped onto the roof of a car. Behind her, a burly man was closing in, but luckily, the girl was agile. And she took refuge in a water tank. She thought she could finally leave safely. But the drug lord followed in his car. The girl dove into the sewer, completely escaping her pursuers. The girl's name was Catalia, named after a type of orchid from Colombia. Her father was a money laundering expert for the notorious drug lord, Luis. To give his daughter a clean future, her father decided to retire from the underworld. Luis didn't say much on the surface, but warmly hugged his old friend goodbye. He ordered his subordinate, Marco, to follow him. Her father knew the danger was great. And when they returned home, he handed his daughter a chip. It was a pass to seek asylum. He also gave her a business card, telling her to go to that address if anything happened to him. And then gave her a family token. The orchid totem was their family symbol. Soon, the drug lord's men were in pursuit. Thus began the scene we saw in the beginning. The girl narrowly escaped the chase. She followed her father's address to the U.S. Embassy, where an agent met with her. The girl stuck her finger into her throat. She retrieved the chip and handed it to the agent. The agent grimaced in disgust, wrapped it in a tissue. He wiped it clean, and inserted it into the computer. The contents shocked him. The girl used the information to exchange for an American passport. A female agent escorted her to Miami, where she received a small amount of cash. She went to the bathroom under the pretense of needing to use it. But 10 minutes later, when the agent checked, she had already escaped through the window. Her next stop was Chicago, where her uncle lived. Her uncle, Leo, was also part of the underworld. At that moment, he was beating up a man. A subordinate came to tell him a girl was looking for him. Leo, caught up in the fight, didn't want to be disturbed, until his subordinate mentioned the girl's name. When the girl saw her uncle, she finally broke down, her tears flooding out uncontrollably. After days of running, her guard had dropped. And only in front of family could she let go. Knew she was the only heir to the family. Leo swore to protect her. The next day, the girl entered the kitchen, where her grandmother had prepared breakfast. But while they were eating, the girl began asking her uncle if he could train her to become an assassin. So, her uncle immediately arranged for her to get an education. But the girl wasn't pleased. She believed school wouldn't teach her how to be an assassin. Her uncle, hearing such childish words, didn't respond. Instead, he took out a gun and began shooting wildly. The crowd panicked immediately. Then, her uncle said, "Is this the kind of assassin you want to be? You won't last long like this. If you want to be one, be a smart assassin. You need to understand how the world works. Know what others are thinking. And learn psychology, among other things." He told her, if you want to learn these, you need to go to school. The girl was finally convinced. Meanwhile, far away, international drug lord Luis had no idea a girl would one day take his life. 15 years later, the grown-up girl entered the scene, crashing into a police car. Drunk, she stumbled out of the car, and the police immediately detained her. To sober her up, they decided to hold her overnight. But the moment she entered the cell, she suddenly snapped back to clarity. Yes, this was all part of the girl's plan. Soon, she began changing her disguise. She broke the lock on the door. The cameras above her were repositioned to blind spots. And the officer on duty didn't notice a thing. The girl made her way to the water station, grabbed a cup of water and a spoon, then entered the power room. She placed the spoon on the electric box, and made a small hole in the cup before placing it in the box. A time device was now set. Meanwhile, the girl climbed into the ventilation ducts. When she reached a fan, she took out her watch and started the countdown. Sure enough, as soon as the timer hit 0, the spoon dropped, triggering a short circuit. The cup flew off, and the fan lost power. The girl swiftly crossed under the fan. But just as the police arrived to check the electric box, she was entering a critical moment. The officer, discovering it was just a simple circuit breaker, dismissed it and reset the box. The fan started again. But the girl was already through. She knocked out an officer who had just come out. Using the officer's uniform, she infiltrated the maximum security prison. Taking the officer's gun, the girl stood before her target and fired 3 shots, killing the prisoner instantly. The sound of gunfire startled all the officers, and they rushed to the scene, only to find a body covered in the girl's signature patterns. Back in the ventilation ducts, the girl had already planned her escape. She reached the building's outer wall, climbed to the roof using her strength, and returned to her cell. When the police finally arrived, The girl was already fast asleep. Under her uncle's training, she was a professional assassin now. The next day, the girl was released after completing her statement. And her uncle brought her another target. A scammer who had stolen 50 billion. The girl opened the magazine. And saw the reward for the mission. Over the years, her uncle handled the orders. And the girl carried out the assassinations. But just as the girl was about to leave, her uncle showed her a newspaper. With a headline featuring her handiwork. The police had been unable to find any leads on the murderer. So they had gone public. Publishing the 22 bodies with the same pattern. Asking the public for clues. Her uncle was furious. Such foolish behavior had revealed her identity to the police. This increased the risk. But the girl's actions were driven by a deeper plan. 15 years ago, after she handed over the card, the US didn't arrest Lewis. Instead, Lewis used his internal drug cartel intel to gain the protection of the CIA and was hidden away. The flower pattern found on the body was the symbol of Lewis's. So she wanted to frame Luis for the murders. And use the FBI to find him. Her uncle tried to stop her. But he couldn't convince her and reluctantly gave in. That night, she began another assassination mission. This time to a mansion. After passing through a shark tank, she easily found her target, the scammer who made off with 5 billion. Soon, the scammer noticed something was wrong. And woke up in a panic. Covered in patterns. He hurried to find his bodyguards. But they were already dead. Taking a gun. He moved through the house. And finally, the girl appeared. Without a word, the man fired. But there were no bullets. The girl immediately fired her gun, killing the man. Sending the man to Shark Tank. Soon, the incident made headlines once again. The FBI agent in charge of the case learned from the public that the mysterious symbol was a unique Colombian orchid, so he attempted to use the internal system to search for information, only to find it had already been blocked by the CIA. Determined to solve the case, he immediately called the CIA, requesting access. The CIA, knowing their secret couldn't come to light, panicked and hung up the phone immediately. Furious, they turned to Lewis, demanding that he resolve the issue quickly. Lewis, realizing it must have been the girl who escaped before, once again sent the Beard Guy to eliminate her. Upon arriving in the US, Beard Guy began investigating all the Colombians in the city. The next day, the girl's uncle angrily talked to her. The day before, 8 Colombians had been killed in the city. One of them was a close friend of the uncle. The uncle immediately realized it was Lewis's behavior. But seeing the girl's indifferent attitude, the uncle's fury erupted. To protect her safety, he decided to cut ties with her, and terminate all assassination operations. Meanwhile, the FBI agent pieced together clues, and identified the girl as the prime suspect. He successfully tracked her location, prompting a SWAT team to be deployed. At the same time, the Beard Guy found the uncle. Back at home, the girl received an alert. Sure enough, the SWAT team appeared in her surveillance cameras. The team entered the building quickly. The girl turned on the shower faucet as a diversion and fled. She ran from the 11th floor down to the 6th floor, entering an emergency room she had prepared in advance. Inside, a man stared at her in confusion before she knocked him out. She took a sniper rifle hidden in the bathroom, planted explosives on the wall, and retreated to a safe position. As the SWAT team breached her apartment door on the 11th floor, she detonated the explosives, blasting a hole in the wall on the 6th floor near the elevator shaft. The SWAT team, finding nothing on the 11th floor. The agents ordered the building to be sealed off. The girl used the elevator cables to descend to the underground parking lot. Like clockwork, she destroyed 2 security cameras. Then entered a ventilation duct. And evaded the SWAT team's search. What they didn't realize was that the ventilation system connected to a subway tunnel. Effortlessly, the girl escaped. She then went to her uncle's house to inform him of what had happened. But as soon as she entered, she sensed something was wrong. There was a freshly smoked cigar on the table. She immediately drew her gun and moved cautiously inside. Her worst fears were confirmed. Her grandmother had been mercilessly killed. Searching further, she found her uncle's lifeless body as well. With the last of her family gone, the girl was consumed by regret and fury. This was the final straw. She decided to strike back. That night, she broke into the FBI agent's home. The agent, initially calm, told her the house was full of security cameras, leaving her no escape. But the girl pulled out a pile of dismantled cameras. Shocked, the agent was left speechless. The girl then revealed the chair he was sitting on had been rigged with a pressure-sensitive bomb. One wrong move, and he'd be blown to pieces. The girl explained why she had been killing and leaving the symbol behind, and demanded that the agent help her find Lewis, who was being protected by the CIA. When the agent hesitated, she picked up a photo of his family and threatened him. The next day, the agent reluctantly sought help from the CIA. But they dismissed him with disdain. At that moment, the girl called, using the agent to deliver her warning to the CIA operative. If he didn't reveal Lewis's location, she'd remodel the office with his blood. A red laser dot appeared on the operative's chest. Feigning composure, he claimed the laser was outside the bulletproof glass. Without hesitation, the girl fired, shattering a photo frame and hitting her mark perfectly. The operative, now terrified, revealed Lewis's location. Before hanging up, the girl warned him not to alert Lewis. Back at her base, the girl prepared her gear. After inspecting her weapons, she got into her truck and set off for revenge. That night, she obtained blueprints of Lewis's heavily guarded mansion. The next day, the beard guy and his team began setting up defenses. But as they worked, Lewis noticed something flying toward them. A massive explosion followed. Though miraculously, no one was killed. Sensing danger, the beard guy ordered his men to evacuate. Before they could leave, the girl drove her truck through the gates, blocking their escape. She jumped out and opened fire, taking down several of Lewis's men. The beard guy hid Lewis in a secret compartment. But the girl used the blueprints to reach the basement directly beneath the hiding spot. When guards came to investigate, she shot another one dead. The beard guy threw a grenade in retaliation. Another guard approached to confirm her death. Seeing no movement below, the beard guy assumed she must have been killed. But the very next second, gunfire erupted again. The girl, now on the second floor, ambushed him. The beard guy, trembling behind a pillar. The henchmen around him were swiftly killed one by one. When the girl paused to reload her guns, the beard guy finally mustered the courage to charge forward. By this point, only one henchman remained at his side. As beard guy stepped into the bathroom, gunfire erupted from outside. He realized his last henchman had been killed. He braced himself for a close-quarters fight. The girl entered the bathroom. She engaged beard guy in hand-to-hand combat. Her years of preparation gave her the upper hand. When beard guy attempted to grab a dropped gun, she disarmed him, smashed the weapon, and stabbed him in the neck, ending his life. Meanwhile, Lewis sensed something was wrong. While the girl dealt with beard guy, Lewis went out and escaped in his car, speeding away from the mansion. The girl had just stepped out, but she showed no signs of urgency. The girl used beard guy's phone to call Lewis. Feeling triumphant, Lewis taunted her, claiming she was now the prey, saying, "I'm in the shadows, and I'll find the perfect chance to kill you." But the girl calmly replied that everything was under her control. Lewis quickly realized what she meant. 2 dogs had been hiding in his back seat, under the girl's command. The dogs attacked, tearing Lewis apart. Hearing his screams over the phone, the girl knew her mission was complete. With her revenge fulfilled, she put on her sunglasses, boarded a bus, embarked on a solitary journey.